Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. A family in New Brunswick wants answers after their loved one drowned. It happened after an encounter with RCMP. That's when Mai Thomas fled police and entered a river. But as video journalist Angel Moore reports, his family believes this tragedy could have been avoided.
Security footage shows two RCMP officers chasing Mai Thomas along the St. Croix River waterfront trail in St. Stephen, New Brunswick, in the afternoon of November 15, 2025. Shortly after, Mai ran into the river and drowned. He was 41 years old and a member of the Sabaganagati First Nation. Rick Thomas says his son should still be alive.
Yeah, they chased him to his death into the water.
Last October, Mai received a conditional sentence that included 8 months of probation. So when police approached Mai outside the store, it was to arrest him for a suspected breach of his probation conditions. Rick alleges the attempted arrest was because Mai did not call his probation officer.
Over a simple thing, not phoning your probation officer, it's not like he robbed a bank or was a murderer or nothing. They could have waited till they seen him walking, at least not by the river. You know, like he always went to the shelter every day. They could have waited for him to go there.
Thomas's family says Mai feared going to jail, so he took off from police and ran behind this building along the waterfront walkway. In an emailed statement to APTN News, police say Mai was seen entering the river about 300 meters down the walkway from the security cameras and began swimming toward the U.S. border town, Calais, Maine. Mai didn't make it, and RCMP recovered his body the next day. Mai's parents have this memorial in their home to honor their son. Mai was a talented welder and loved joking around with his dad. Lorna Thomas is Mai's mother.
Mai is very muscular, and Dad is not so much, but he has it here. But it's one of our favorite pictures of Mai and his dad. It just shows like fun.
She said for the last 2 years, Mai struggled with addictions. He was couch surfing and staying at the local shelter and was trying to get help to turn his life around. Lorna got a call the day after Mai died that he had been accepted into a treatment center.
So our hearts were broken even more, thinking, if they just would have left him and served the warrant on a different day. It's not like he was leaving town. He wasn't leaving town. It's just, it was a death that should not have happened.
APTN News reached out to the New Brunswick RCMP to ask why he'd been chased. The RCMP responded with an email saying they cannot comment due to criminality not being involved with his death. The Serious Incident Response Team conducted an independent review and released a statement. The CERT director has reviewed all available information in detail. He immediately fled on foot and entered the water, swimming away from shore. The evidence is clear that the actions of the officers did not result in the death of the male, and it was not foreseeable that the male would enter the water. Therefore, it has been determined that this case does not meet CERT's mandate for an investigation. Rick was shocked. CERT concluded they will not conduct an investigation.
I just couldn't believe it. How can they say one thing, do one thing, and then say the other? It's right there on video, and they shouldn't be able to get allowed with that.
Mai's family still wants answers and say it was dangerous to chase him along the river.
And he had no place to go. When he ran down over the bank, all was there was the river. Where was he going to go?
Rick says they will never get over Mai's death.
You're supposed to go before your children, not your children go first. And where this is such a senseless death, it makes it even harder.
The Thomas family is seeking legal advice and plan to file a complaint to the RCMP Commission and hopes this does not happen to another person. Angel Moore, APTN, St. Stephen, New Brunswick.
Devastation and grief are still gripping the small northern town of Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. after a lone shooter took the lives of 9 people, including their own, earlier this week. APTN's Tina House has more.
What was supposed to be just a routine regular day in Tumbler Ridge, BC, soon turned into chaos.
RCMP received a report of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. A police-initiated public alert, PIPA, was issued as officers responded. Police from Tumbler Ridge RCMP and surrounding detachments responded immediately, with members from the local detachment arriving within 2 minutes of the initial call.
Upon arrival, shots were fired at RCMP members attending the scene.
Officers entered the school to locate the threat. Within minutes, an individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased, with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Tumbler Ridge. 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun, were recovered by responding officers.
Police have now confirmed the shooter killed her mother and stepbrother at their home, and that another 6 more at the school. 2 more students were seriously hurt and transported by air ambulance, making that a total of 9 dead, 2 seriously wounded, and 25 others injured. Tumbler Ridge Mayor Daryl Kokoka got emotional at a press conference, talking about the magnitude of this tragedy.
And I think that you can't thank the government enough on the quick action to get counselors on the ground with working with their agencies. It is so important when we see a tragedy like this, with young lives lost, families don't have their children coming home last night.
And miles away from Tumbler Ridge in Squamish, BC, Elder Vera Douglas, Lorelei Williams, and Araya Robb gathered to honor the victims. They came to the forest today to offer 9 medicine bundles and offer their prayers for those affected by this tragedy.
Please send some prayers and love and hope and strength to all those that are sitting in sorrow.
For Araya, she is struggling upon hearing the news. She grew up in Tumbler Ridge and graduated from that school. One of her close friends lost a daughter at the school in the shooting.
Just sending all my love to Tumbler Ridge and the community up there, everybody involved, the families. My heart's breaking.
And here at BC Children's Hospital, 12-year-old Maya Jabala fights for her life. She's being hailed as a hero by trying to lock the library door to save other kids. Today also marks the Provincial Day of Mourning here in BC. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Valentine's Day came early in Ottawa today, as a few dozen people gathered around the Centennial Flame on Parliament Hill, in an event that happens every year on or around Valentine's Day, to honor the memory of women who have gone missing or been murdered, like Glenda Morrisseau back in 1991, and to give out roses to family members. Bridget Tolley has been a fixture at this event for decades, but this year's gathering carried even more weight, as members of Tolley's extended family were involved in an incident in Kitigan Zibi Anishinaabe on Wednesday, when a father shot and killed his 2 children.
I wanted to just send love and prayers out to my family. It's been hard. It was a shock to our family and to the community. And we just hope that, people can understand and can just support the families.
The message for everybody there is to love one another and take care of each other. And the loss of children is always a breaking heart situation. So we really send our prayers out.
Public protesting within the city of Winnipeg may have new constraints thanks to a bylaw up for consideration called the Safe Access to Vulnerable Infrastructure Bylaw. The draft bylaw defines a nuisance demonstration as one located in public that obstructs pedestrians or vehicles without a permit. Also, protests objecting ideas, actions, or specified characteristics like race, sexual or gender identity, disability, and circumstances related to pregnancy. Demonstrations considered nuisances could be prohibited within 100 meters of designated facilities, including but not limited to places of worship, libraries, community and cultural centers, hospitals and healthcare facilities, post-secondary institutions, and public schools. Fines would range from $500 for a first offense and up to $5,000 for a third and any subsequent offenses. Some First Nations, including the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, are raising concerns with the proposed bylaw. It's on the Executive Policy Committee agenda for February 17th, and if approved, will head to Council for final consideration. Time for a quick break, and then we'll take you to a celebration of Métis culture in Winnipeg ahead of Louis Riel Day in Manitoba. Welcome back. A big Métis celebration over the University of Manitoba Friday in preparation for Louis Riel Day on February 16th. Sav Jones brings you this lively event straight to your living room.
A dancing bug affected several people during this Louis Riel Day celebration in Winnipeg. They did their best jigging routines as fiddles sang their cultural songs deeply rooted in Manitoba history. Director of Cultural Integration for the University of Manitoba, Vanessa Lilly, says it's moments like these that truly bring the campus together.
We are celebrating Métis culture, heritage, history, and Louis Riel. We're having lunch right now, so we're enjoying some food with community members. People have come to celebrate with us, maybe learn how to jig later. We're going to be having some fiddling music and some community visiting.
Also known as the birthplace of the Red River Métis, Manitoba celebrates Louis Riel Day on the third Monday in February, though festivities take place throughout the weekend. More than 150 attendees learned how to finger weave a Métis sash, use glass beads to create beautiful artwork, and churn their own butter, Métis style. Gavin Forbes led the cream shaking workshop.
The significance behind the butters that us Red River Métis would always make the things at home, we try our best to not buy things from abroad, so that we are very much sustaining and living off of the land.
Folks shook small jars with all their might to make their own topping, perfect for bannock. He says he's proud to teach others the traditional Métis way of life.
They walk away with a sample butter and a better understanding about our ways of life as Red River Métis on the farms.
Several speakers shared personal stories on the complexities of Métis identity and pride. Accounting and finance student Gabriel Perry says he's thankful embracing his Métis heritage was a large part of his childhood.
When I think about Louis Riel Day, I don't think about an extra day off of work or school. I think about the pain, suffering, sacrifice, and grit the Métis had and still have today. I think about the countless people, past and present, who have paved the way for a boy like me to get an excellent education, to have the opportunities I have, and to also have a community like no other here in Manitoba.
Lily says roughly 1,600 students at the province's largest educational institution are Métis.
There's been a long time, a long history of Indigenous people, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit not being represented in educational systems. And it's really important to create space for students, staff, and for us to learn together, community space to learn together, but also to highlight our amazing and vibrant community here on campus.
Happy Louis Riel Day for APTN National News. I'm Sav Jonesa in Winnipeg.
Good stuff, Sav. Thanks for that. The Arctic Winter Games are less than a month away, and young athletes are getting ready to compete. Our Whitehorse reporter Sarah Connors caught up with the Yukon's Arctic Sports Division to see how they're feeling leading up to the Games.
In just a few weeks, these Yukon athletes will compete on home turf at the Arctic Winter Games in Whitehorse, the Circumpolar North's biggest sporting event. A highlight of every Arctic Winter Games is Arctic Sports, featuring unique events modeled on the traditional way of life in the North, like the 1-foot high kick.
Oh, it's starting to feel a lot more real, that's for sure.
Veteran athlete Emily King of the Tahltan Nation is preparing for her 4th Arctic Winter Games. A former gymnast, she says Arctic Sports is known for its sense of community.
Another athlete from another contingent or even an official will come up to you and give you advice, and that is like so supporting and so different from what I'm used to, especially coming from gymnastics.
Everybody's so lovely in this sport, and I'm just really excited to do that.
That support is a big help for rookies like 14-year-old Nunu Sakioktuk. The Inuk athlete is looking forward to her first Arctic Winter Games, but there's also nerves as she prepares to showcase her skill and agility.
I think it's really important to have like strength and good endurance and have like a positive attitude. That's really important.
Come the week of the games, like I like to tell them that is the easy part. Competing is the easy part. All the training and everything leading up to it is the hard stuff.
Coach Eric Porter says this year's team has 6 Indigenous athletes, the most it's ever had. He also says it's the youngest, with many athletes under 16.
We have a lot of first timers too, so I think combining that with, you know, some of the veterans who've already experienced the game or two has been a really good mix, and they're asking a lot of questions, and we're doing our best to inform them what to expect.
For King, the games are about more than competition. It's also about leading by example.
So we have a lot of 13-year-olds who are just joining the sport, and I want to set a really good example for them. But that's more pressure from myself, that I just want to do a good job for them rather than from other people.
The Arctic Winter Games will take place from March 8th to the 15th. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Love the Arctic Winter Games. A new episode of APTN Investigates premieres tomorrow night. We'll speak with the reporter behind the documentary after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Mark Blackburn was enjoying a beautiful day while skating along the Rideau Skateway, which happens to be known as the longest or largest outdoor skating rink in the world, at about 6.9 kilometers from end to end. Thanks, Mark. Not to burst your bubble, but Nestaway River Trail in Winnipeg also lays claim to that. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so send in your pictures to aptn.ca or share at aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 0 for Fredericton, +1 for Halifax. -11 for Kuujjuaq, 5 below for Nain. Sunny and -1 for Montreal, 9 below for Chibougamau. -1 in Sault Ste. Marie, sun's out and +1 for Ottawa. -3 for Thunder Bay, 5 below for Sioux Lookout. -2 for Thompson and God's Lake. 2 below for Winnipeg and Brandon, 0 for Dauphin. Sunny and 4 for Regina, 8 with the sun out in Swift Current. -1 in Meadow Lake, 0 for Buffalo Narrows. In northern Alberta, -10 for High Level, 8 below for Fort Chipewyan. 0 for Edmonton, 12 above with the sun out in Lethbridge. 5 for Vancouver, sunny and +2 for Kamloops. -1 for Prince George, 2 below for Smithers. -31 for Old Crow, -6 in Whitehorse. -16 for Yellowknife, 22 below for Norman Wells. -29 in Sax Harbor, 34 below for Polytech. -25 for Chesterfield and Baker Lake. 32 below for Resolute, -38 in Joe Haven. Kim Sullivan standing by now. Kim, tell us what to expect on tonight's show.
Hi, Dennis. We have a packed episode. A new detective sergeant has been added to the Montreal police team dedicated to relations with Indigenous people. We tackle economic reconciliation, how community and youth can make a difference. A Mohawk smoke dancer celebrating her Irish roots as we open green season in Montreal. And we look into the legacy of Indigenous French theatre. That is all tonight, 6:30 Eastern. And big happy Valentine's Day to all our viewers ahead of tomorrow.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Kim. APTN Investigates returns this week with an all-new episode. Reporter Brittany Guillot looks into the mystery surrounding the disappearance of 25-year-old Joshua Francis Sto. Sto vanished from his family's property on Whitefish Lake First Nation in northern Alberta in the spring of 2025. Weeks prior to his disappearance, Sto won $1 million on a scratch ticket. With more on the story, Brittany joins us now from our Winnipeg newsroom. Brittany, great to have you here with us. What do we know about Joshua's disappearance?
So what we know about Joshua Sto's disappearance so far is that he was last seen in the early morning hours of May 5th, 2025 at his grandparents' property in Whitefish Lake First Nation. So that morning, a family member went to go check on him, and what was discovered was a significant amount of blood found in his RV. And so what followed was the RCMP involvement. They did do an extensive search that included, it was a ground search, an aerial search, dog teams were involved, drones were used, and the RCMP did conduct an analysis on his bank accounts to confirm whether there was any activity, but no trace of Joshua has been found since.
What makes this case so unusual?
Yeah, there are several things that make this case unusual. The first being that just weeks before Joshua's disappearance, he won $1 million on a lucky scratch ticket. And additionally, the significant amount of blood that was found in his RV suggests that something occurred before his disappearance. And so what we do know about the blood is that the RCMP did conduct a forensic analysis and confirmed that Joshua's DNA is a match to the blood that was found in the RV.
Where does the investigation stand today?
So the RCMP Major Crimes Unit has stepped away from the investigation, but they do say that he is still considered an active missing person in their system. They also say that they conducted an extensive search or an extensive investigation, and that included a major search, and they interviewed approximately 60 people and polygraphed 3 individuals.
Well, Brittany, a lot of people have been following this case, looking forward to the documentary. Appreciate you taking some time for us.
Thanks for having me on.
And you can catch APTN Investigates Into the Night airing tomorrow on APTN at 6:30 Eastern Time, right after the APTN National News Weekend. It's all the time we have for your news on this Friday, the 13th. You can find more over on our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy Miigwech, thanks for being with us. Stick around. Kim is up next. Have a great night.